Hello and welcome to Queensland Weekender. Great to have your company, and we have a cracking episode in store for you today. No prizes for guessing where we are. That chimney stack pretty well gives it away. Mount Isa, the iconic outback town, is our launch pad.
Well, Vic, according to this sign, we're about 16,000 k's away from New York, but I don't reckon we have to travel that far to get the party started.
No, there's plenty on offer in northwestern Queensland, including, if you can hear the cheers in the roars from Buchanan Park, the rodeo's in town.
She's in full swing, Vic. There's plenty to do. Let's get started.
Every August, the Mount Isa Mines Rotary Rodeo draws in tens of thousands. It's the Southern Hemisphere's biggest rodeo, and for visitors, it offers up an exciting weekend of outback action. And it's a great excuse to visit northwest Queensland, a region bursting with fascinating characters, prehistoric history and natural wonders that will take your breath away. As I mentioned, Mount Isa is a great launching pad, and when you get here, I suggest going straight to its fantastic visitor info centre called Outback at Isa. Now, Kylie, when you arrive in the Isa, this is pretty much where you need to head.
Absolutely. Outback at Isa is the one-stop shop really for everything that you need to do in town. We have got our art gallery here. We've also got our gift shop, of course, a beautiful cafe, and we've got two museums on site as well. So we've got the Riversley Fossil Centre, and we've also got the Iser Experience, which is the mining history of Mount Isa.
And the good thing is you've got the real deal in terms of the miners, and the people that are here have actually lived it.
Absolutely. All our guides, we pride ourselves on our guides being working. Some of them do it on their days off, a lot of them do it voluntary, and that's where you get the characters. They're the salt of the earth, literally. They're fantastic, yeah. It really makes the tour.
That is certainly true. Our guide today is Steve, a bloke who's worked the mines since he was 18.
This is a little four-man cage. If you're desperate and small enough, 60 you could get in there.
Steve's showing me around the Iser Experience, which tells the city's mining history, from the discovery of lead ore in 1923 to the present day, where the town boasts the largest underground mine in the country.
With the advancement of mining, our cage, our big cage at R62 in town here, that can carry 92 men per deck. There's two decks. So at the start of the shift, 184 men can go down to work in one go.
Instead of four.
Instead of four.
The main attraction is the Hard Times Mine, which gives visitors the chance to head underground.
It is dark down there, so if there's any young ladies here feeling nervous, please stand next to me. This will jerk a bit, but it's all right. Ready?
There's 1.2 kilometres of tunnels to explore down here. There's no doubt about it, this is the real deal. There are some things in life you never think you're going to get to do, and I think this might be one of those.
Here we go. This is a handheld mining machine. These have been around for, I guess on my part, 60 or more years. This is a one-man job. The old days would be two men.
One woman job, we can do it. All right.
Money
That'd
for
be
nothing.
a long day, wouldn't it?
Money for nothing.
Steve, I can't imagine anyone better to come underground with, because mining has been your life.
It has, since I was 18. So, yeah, I've been 43 years underground, and I'm going to say I enjoy every minute.
That's very impressive, Steve.
Yeah, what we're going to get you to do, Victoria, is just do a couple of little laps with that. I'll clear the area.
You might want to clear the whole mine.
It's authentic, it's the real deal, and that's what I like about this tour.
I think it's fantastic that the tourists can come and see what actually happens in real life.
Yeah, and it's amazing how many older blokes, the retired miners, come back. Yeah, a little bit, you know, is this going to be the real thing when we get down here? Everyone to a man has said, what a great experience. And they come back here mainly to show their kids or grandchildren what they used to do.
For many, the highlight of the tour is feeling the earth move with the simulated blasting of the drill face. Sorry about that, folks. Well, it's time to swap the hard hat for the Akubra, because when we come back, Anna will be taking in all the fun of the Mount Isa Rodeo.
come from Rocky, so this isn't my first rodeo, but it is my first time at the Mount Isa Mines Rotary Rodeo. I've been told it's the biggest and the richest rodeo in the Southern Hemisphere. It's certainly the biggest event on the social calendar up here. As you can imagine, a huge crowd comes along, and there are plenty of fascinating people for me to meet.
The Mount Isa Rodeo kicked off in 1959 and it boasts 3 days of non-stop outback action that includes bull riding, saddle bronc, team roping and plenty more. It's a lot of fun, but more than that, it's for a good cause. Each year, well over $100,000 is raised for Mount Isa's 2 Rotary clubs. And for the community, the positives don't stop there. Just ask local MP Rob Catter.
These things are everything, and this is probably, this is the big one for the West, but race meetings, rodeos out here, it's the one big thing that we need to preserve, and it's such a big social thing, and it's everything. So if you're a young bloke working out on the station, or living out in Richmond or Julia Creek, this is your big time of the year, rodeos, and we've got all the tourists, all the backpackers, grey nomads. Everyone comes out to play, and I'm seeing people here in town I haven't seen all year, and a lot of young people around town, and I think, where do they all come from? But we all come out at rodeo time.
If you've never been to a rodeo before, then a great way to get your head around everything is on a behind-the-scenes tour.
This is like what they call the bucket chute. Right. It's big enough to fit the larger sort of animal, like the open stock in, but it's also small enough that they can't jump around and it'll turn around so they won't break the cowboy's legs or anything like that.
Daryl's job is to get between the bull and the rider once they've come off. It's dangerous stuff.
So such an interesting career choice. How do you become a bullfighter?
Yeah, when you're not real good at the other sports, it's sort of last resort. Just something I got out doing, having a bit of fun. I used to ride bulls and didn't really like that and started bullfighting and fell in love with it.
Having a backstage pass means that Daryl can introduce you to all sorts of interesting people, like Kurt Shepherd, the current Australian bull riding champion.
How does the Mount Isa Rodeo compare to all the others you've competed in?
Oh, I don't know, especially in Australia, I think there's so much money up like it. And to win it, it's pretty prestige, I mean, to win it. I guess it is probably the biggest one on the circuit. To do well here, it means a lot, I think.
Yeah, it's like a gladiator type arena out there.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I love this rodeo, it's great.
Visitors might also get to meet the champions of the future, like Stephanie Johns, who's learning the sport at Mount Isa's rodeo school.
Rodeo school is really good. I've learned a lot, especially keeping myself up. I've never been good with balance, but it's been really good the past 3 rodeo schools I've attended. It's really improved my bull riding a lot. I had a bull that was jumping around a bit in the chute yesterday, and it was good. At the rodeo school they taught me how to sit on the bull to keep yourself from getting knocked forward into the front of the chute, so it was really good.
As well as the bull riding action, there's plenty more to keep everyone entertained. There's a Mardi Gras parade, street parties, sideshow alley. Perfect! But a highlight for many is hearing the familiar banging of the drums, because out here, that can only mean one thing. Fred Brophy's boxing troupe.
So we got anyone here from New South Wales? Welcome to Australia, mate. We don't work there, we go straight through.
Fred Brophy is an outback legend and the last travelling boxing tent showman in the world.
Now, first things first, for someone who hasn't been inside your famous Fred Brophy tent, could you describe what happens?
Well, you know what, Anna? A lot of people ask me that. You know what I say to them?
Come.
No. I say you can't explain it. Because if I told you, you wouldn't believe it. So you've got to see it yourself, and when someone asks you, you'll say the same thing. If you don't have a good time, it's your own fault. As a matter of fact, it's the only place you can come to and have a good time without taking any clothes off.
Let's leave it there, Fred.
Fred's got an impressive stable of fighters, like Beaver, Fred's only female boxer, who's just celebrated her 150th fight.
So you obviously must love it, Beaver, because you keep hopping back in the ring.
I do love it. I love the challenge, I love the atmosphere, and I love the people that we meet along the way. And
do you ever get scared?
I think if I was to say I never get scared, then anyone that says they don't get scared when they jump in a ring would be lying. So there's an element of being scared, but also you've got to give your opponent, no matter how good or bad they are, the respect, because stepping into the ring is a big thing, and when you get in here, you don't know what to expect.
Being inside the tent is quite an experience. Wild, fast, furious, and at times very funny. And everyone loves an underdog like Canadian tourist Philip Stone, who volunteered to hop into the ring.
How do you feel? You went a few rounds in there.
I feel sore, but I feel great. I had fun. He hits like a sledgehammer.
You were definitely the crowd favourite. Everyone was roaring for you.
I don't know why.
And how was the whole Outback Boxing tent experience for you?
It was new. I'm glad I did it. And if I ever get the chance to do it again, I will.
You can see Fred Brophy's boxing troupe for yourself, as well as all the rodeo action this August, from the 11th to the 13th. That might seem like a long time away, but don't leave it too late to book your accommodation. The Ibis Styles Mount Isa Verona Hotel is a good option. But for those wanting something a little bit different, how about glamping in a pop-up tent city? The canvas tents sleep 2 people and come with stretcher beds, mattresses, linen, warm blankets, and you even get a cooked breakfast. We'll have all the contact details later in the show. But coming up after the break, Anna and I head even further west to a spectacular oasis that'll take your breath away.
I can't believe we're in the Outback. This is so strange. Well, the fun of the rodeo is over for another year, but jump in the car. This region has so much more to offer. In fact, the national park we're headed to today, my friends have been telling me for years it's their favourite in Queensland, if not Australia. I can't tell you how excited I am.
Rod and Michelle Lomo are the proud owners of Adeles Grove camping ground. It sits not far from the border with the Territory, about a 4-hour drive from Mount Isa. It's where you stay if you want to check out one of Queensland's most spectacular spots, Budjamala or Lawn Hill National Park. Rod and Michelle pick up guests from Mount Isa, and they'll even treat you to a tour of Riversley Fossil Field on the way out.
There's a big snake in here, a large python about 7 metres long, which the paleontologists christened Monty Pythonides.
Riversley is the richest mammal fossil site on Earth, with fossils ranging from 15,000 to 20 million years old. It's also home to fossilised fish, snails, lizards and plenty more.
And over here, there's a crocodile skull. It's a bit mangled up, but I'll point out a few features to it. There's a tooth there, there's another tooth here, and there's some cavities down through the skull there.
It's amazing how clear some of it is, Rod. You know, some of those higher pieces you can really see the bone.
Imagine this, there's a turtle here they found. It was shell a metre wide, and then this turtle had horns on its head like a cow. Unbelievable, isn't it? Where in the world would you find something like that? You know, I know there's some weird creatures around, but here they are, all here at Riversley.
It's about another hour or so to what can only be described as an oasis, Adeles Grove camping ground. It has a great selection of accommodation. Bring your own tents, camper vans and caravans, or enjoy Rod and Michelle's furnished river tents and ensuite rooms. There's a restaurant on site, Wi-Fi internet and a bar. And then there are the swimming holes. This might just be the ultimate family holiday spot. Once you've settled in at Adeles Grove, Rod and Michelle like to welcome guests with some nibbles and drinks at Harry's Hill, the perfect spot to admire the setting sun.
What do you think people love about it? For me, it was coming from the dry, the dust, into this beautiful oasis with the water. What do you think people love?
Yep, exactly that. They have to travel on a lot of dirt road to get out here, so you don't get everybody to come out here because of the dirt road, and the conditions of the roads at times can get very rough. So really genuine people just want to get out in here and have a look, and then when you do hit Adeles Grove and Lawn Hill, you've got the beautiful oasis of the spring-fed river, and it's just beautiful, yeah.
And what's your favourite little spot in there, along there?
Oh, all of it. All of it. Doesn't matter how many times I drive backwards and forwards and all around the area. It changes with the seasons, hot, dry, cold. It's always beautiful any time of the year.
Well, we've saved the best till last. When we come back, Anna and I will be exploring what is arguably Australia's most beautiful gorge. You won't want to miss it.
It's not often that I am speechless, lost for words, but this is it. It's almost indescribable. I'm so glad you can see it.
In northwest Queensland, almost on the border with the Northern Territory, you'll find Adeles Grove camping ground. For those willing to make the journey out this far, it is a wonderful experience. There's loads of room for campers and caravans, or you can relax in furnished river tents with views of the water. But Adeles Grove is just the warm-up, really, because just down the road is the big draw, Lawn Hill Gorge. Before heading into the gorge itself, a fun way to get your first glimpse is on a guided walking tour, courtesy of Adeles Grove.
I can't believe we're in the outback. This is so strange.
And leading us today is Ange Klukas.
And I don't think I've ever seen water that green at the beach, at the coast, anywhere. It's
It's
extraordinary.
quite unique to this national park that all the gorges have this beautiful emerald green colour, and that relates to the high calcium content of the water.
These waters are spring-fed to the tune of 4 million litres an hour, and the river runs all year round. The best spot to appreciate those numbers is atop Island Stack Lookout.
Now, how did you come to be here at Lawn Hill? How did you fall in love with the place?
I'd visited here about 5 times over the last 17 years and absolutely loved it every time. My favourite national park in Queensland. When the opportunity came to come and work here, I jumped at the opportunity to work at Adeles Grove, to have this as my workplace.
You must get some amazing reactions.
Yes, absolutely. People, after they've driven for hundreds of kilometres through those rough roads and the dust, they cannot believe that there's an oasis like this here in the middle of the national park. It's absolutely beautiful.
There are a couple of ways to enjoy the fresh waters of the gorge. Swimming, canoeing, but today we're heading out on Rod's guided cruise aboard his solar-powered boat.
You know, we're in one of the 10 top bird watching spots in Australia.
Really, the twitchers would go crazy here.
The formation of the gorge took millions of years, and Aboriginal occupation at Lawn Hill goes back at least 17,000. Some say it may go back further to beyond 30,000 years, which would make Lawn Hill the site for the longest continual occupation in Australia. And according to the Waiani people, the gorge and its permanent spring water were created by none other than Budjamala, or the rainbow serpent.
It's not often that I am speechless, lost for words, but this is it. It's almost indescribable. I'm so glad you can see it.
After returning from such an incredible experience, you'll want to share it with your fellow travellers. And they'll want to share it with you too, just like Sarah Miller and her girls from the Gold Coast, who are having the time of their lives.
And have you ticked off everything you'd like to do here, or you still got a few more?
I would have liked to have canoed the gorge, but we're waiting to do that maybe tomorrow.
So would you encourage your friends with their young families to head this way?
Absolutely. We actually heard of it from people also travelling with their kids on the road.
Yeah.
And they said it's a fabulous place to come, so we thought we'd stop in on the way to Darwin.
Well, we've got a few hours before dinner, and we had heard there's some good fishing to be had around Adeles Grove.
Lovely snags along here. You never know where there's a big barra lurking.
Spend a few minutes angling with Rod, and talk will soon turn to his daughter Charlie and the big fish she hooked on these banks.
Look, it hadn't hit the bottom, and away it went. Away it went. And she would have had one of the biggest black brim I've seen for a while pulled out of here. And she was so excited, she ran up the hill with
the fish?
She just took off up the bank. But I had to grab the line here so it wouldn't get snagged here, so we could land it for her. And she's proud as punch. Yeah.
Fishing on the banks at Adeles Grove, as you've seen, is just one of many wonderful experiences you can have in northwest Queensland. Why not start planning your own trip? The Mount Isa Mines Rotary Rodeo is coming up again in August. And if you're an RACQ member, you'll be happy to know that RACQ is a big supporter of the Mount Isa Rodeo and offers members discounts on admission and various packages. Keep an eye on the website on your screen for upcoming deals to this year's event. Getting to Mount Isa is easy with QantasLink. They have regular flights from Brisbane and to Townsville. And finally, for more info on all the places you've seen today, check out the Outback Tourism Queensland website.
Okay, well, I've got a snag, so that seems like the perfect time to wrap up this stint in the Outback.
No, Vic, I just cast out. I'm one bite away from a barra.
I've been saying that for 2 hours. Hope you've enjoyed this Outback trip as much as we have. There have been so many surprises along the way. And I know when you take a look at the map, it looks like a long way to come. Trust me, it is worth every single moment.
10 more minutes, Vic, 10 more minutes.
One more go on. I've got to rescue this lure. Goodness me.